I think what Laura shared though at the mastermind, the March mastermind, I think that whatever conversation you guys had, I mean, it's changed.
Yeah, I mean that was years and years ago, right? And we still have stuff, but it's trackable, and we have moments where I go, hey, here's, you know what the greatest moment was with me and Laura is that for men, I know men are very simple. So at the end of the day, I just want to know where I stand. Just give me marching orders, right? Men are very simple and women are heavily manipulative. I'm sorry, but you can be in the sense that you don't say what's wrong. Maybe, because I don't know this is the part I don't understand. Is like, maybe you don't know how you feel. You just have something going on inside of you and you don't know how to articulate it. So for me, there was a moment about 5 years ago where I said, this is what I need from you, please. When you are upset, frustrated, whatever, please just tell me you are. So like when I can watch her body language. I'm obviously I'm an empath. I absorb other people's energy. So I see what's going on. I go, hey, is everything okay? She'll say, I'm stressed out because of this, this, and this, and it has nothing to do with you. I love you. Thank you. And then we move on with our day. Rather than letting that seep into what did I do? What's going on? This is that whole thing that like adolescents do. And when I say adolescents, I mean people that are still in their 70s, like my parents still playing these games. I'm like, man, what amazing KPI is that, right? So like being able to move on from that. And then instead of me investing into whatever is going on there, I now have marching orders because men are simple. Give me marching orders, I'll go attack. So my wife says, I'm dealing with this, 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 and this. And instead of me going, can I help? I just help. I go, oh, okay. Thank you for letting me know. And then I just help, right? Whereas most men will also go, well, okay, what should I do? You know, or they'll get aggressive or whatever else. It's like, dude, just do the thing, right? So I love the KPI tracking thing. Like how often is you're complaining? How often is the negativity actually getting you what you want? And also you have to be inwardly looking and go, actually is what you want is control. That's not healthy. Yeah. Do I want to have these moments? And I see people doing this, people that I used to be friends with, I can't associate with them anymore. They would intentionally do things to each other to control and manipulate the other person in the relationship. And I love what you said. It's like when we would go out on dates, it wasn't because we were nagging each other. It wasn't because we were making us feel a certain way. It was like I was attracted to that person because they believed in me. They saw me. They saw something in me. They encouraged me to go do something else and be a better version of myself. And, you know, it's like there's people out there that you start going to the gym magically. And then your significant other is like, what's going on? It's like, I just had a breakthrough. I had a mental breakthrough recently that I need to go and take care of myself a little bit more. Well, what about me? What about that? You know, it's like those types of things, guys, like it's not healthy and it doesn't lead to anything valuable. And so track the KPI. Are you closing the deal? Are you getting what you want? And the answer is no, right? So it's tough because there's emotions involved, right? It's like, I'm hungry. Well, then don't be hungry. Doesn't really work, right? It's really hard. So you're going to feel emotions and you're going to have to learn how to manage those things. And I think that's why it's so powerful to have Elena in here on Saturdays talking about the mindset of these little things, right? It's like a little bit of dust off your shoulder, a little bit of dust off your shoulder, a little bit of dust off your shoulder. And then after 6 months, you're like, holy crap, my relationships are better. The way I feel about myself is better. I now have a clear path of where I'm going. Here's the way I look at this, okay? Very KPI centric. The more time I can invest in solving real problems, the more fun my life becomes, the more people I impact, and the more time I spend squabbling or fighting over stupid things that don't matter, I'm not living my highest potential. And that's all makes sense, right? People know that. They're like, okay, that sounds great. Write that on a piece of paper, slap that on a book. Yep, that's like common knowledge. The problem is people have never lived that way, and so they don't know what it feels like. to have a little bit of momentum and then another little bit of momentum and another little bit of momentum. You go, holy crap, what was I doing with my life? Has anybody ever felt that way? You ever feel like you're stuck in a bit and then you get a little bit of momentum? You go, oh my gosh, I didn't really need to change like everything. I just need to change one little thing and get a little bit of momentum, right? So little bit of momentum, just a little bit of momentum. And we have a student in our program. This is where I started telling people, please stop sending me your marriage problems, because I get sucked into these because I'm like obsessed with solving people's marital problems, and I'm not qualified to do it because I have one perspective on it as a man and also a very traditional man. And so I'm not going to be able to solve everybody's problems. Everybody's got their own things, right? So I get on the phone call with this. She's not a student. Her husband's a student. She sends me a DM and she's like, I need your advice. My husband's now sleeping at his office and I need your advice. And I was like, what's going on? Like, it got to that point. So I get on the phone call with her and I said, you want to know how to solve this? And she's like, anyway, I get into this thing. I go, how often do you nag him? She's like, well, we're both nagging each other every day. I go, I didn't ask that. How often are you nagging him? Anyway, the advice I gave her over 3 hours was like, she goes, well, what if he does this? And what if he does that? And I go, practice something for me for 30 days, literally 30 days. And she was like, 30 days was too much for her to commit. So I said, practice something for me for 2 days, just 2 days. How long has he lived in the office? Like he would come home every once in a while to get dinner and he would go back and work in the office and cold call, do all this stuff. He's like, I'm just working and I just can't be around the negative energy, blah, 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 blah. So I said, how often do you make him feel bad about this or make him feel about this? And And we got to it. And she says, we got to the point where I said, he doesn't feel excited to be home. Your job is to, make him feel welcome at home. And his job is to make sure that you feel welcome at home too. Like, this is our safe space. And do you know why cavemen built caves? So they could be safe from the outside world. We didn't just sleep on the open plains. We went and built caves so we could be safe. And so you've created a hostile environment in the only safe place this other human being can be. That doesn't sound awesome. So my advice to her was, love him even when you don't want to, and just try it for 48 hours. Just love him. Everything you say to him is sweet. Even when he's rude, reply back with sweetness, reply back with love. And so we went through like a bunch of her text messages. I can't even believe I did this, but it was 3 hours of this. I went through every text message that they had and I go, this is how you should have replied. This is how you should have replied. This is how you should have replied. And she's like, really? I go, you have to be the person that makes the change. Now, what she didn't know is I called him and I had the same conversation with him. And I said, how dare you do that? This woman's working her ass off for you. And you're basically spitting in her face by saying, I'm not well. Like, you guys need to be, both of you are immature. You're immature. Both of you are. And so what's funny is she sends me, the gratitude thing. This is a long time ago that I did this, by the way. She sends me this DM about gratitude. She's like, you saved my marriage years ago by reminding me, like, we're a team and we're in this together and that my cave is my safe space and I need to make my partner feel excited about coming home. Ask yourself this question. Have you ever been, Elena, I don't know how you are, but I'm curious. We got a little bit of time. Have you ever looked at going home, even when you were a kid, when you were dating, when you were married? Was there ever a point where you didn't feel excited about going home? In fact, you were like,
hell yeah. With my parents, they fought. There was never a day growing up where they didn't fight. That's why I became a therapist, because I literally feel like I want to save every family from experiencing what I did, right? Like the conflict, the yelling, right? And so, I mean, I like fell into drugs in high school because I was like, I don't want to be in that environment, numbed it, all that stuff. And I was never home. My dad was like, why aren't you home? I was like, because I don't want to hear your shit. Like, I don't want to hear you guys yelling all the time, right? But again, I turned my pain into my superpower, right? So, right. But yeah, for sure, I didn't want to be home like the majority of high school.
Okay, so now ask yourself this question, because I'll answer this question myself. Have you ever, man or woman, have you ever made your home not welcoming to your partner?
For sure.
Through your nagging, your complaining, your issue, your bullshit. Yeah. the
For
cold
sure.
shoulder bullshit, like all that kind of stuff. Guys, it's funny to like think about that. Here's what I want in more than anything. You know why people cheat? I've never cheated. I've never dealt with any of that kind of stuff, but I see it all the time. People cheat because that there's that moment of like when you're dating somebody before you ever get into the trauma of that person, right? Usually it's like 3 to 6 months. There's that moment of like flirting and excitement that most people are lacking in their marriage and their relationship. Okay. Are you creating an environment that your significant other is excited about coming home and seeing you or not? That's it. It's not maybe, or is it yes or no?
I am now.
I'm excited to be home. I bought this house from Jerry Norton specifically because I'm like, now I can be home more. I can be around my wife. I can be around my kids. I can be around all these things and all that kind of stuff. So again, a lot of it comes down, like my mindset came down from finding out what I didn't want and watching my parents go through the stuff they're still going through. Like, Elaine, are your parents still going through their shit?
Oh my God. Yes.
So there's the KPI.
Yeah.
That's the KPI. It's a glaring API. You want that life, do that bullshit.
Yeah.
That's how it shows up. And so for me, I'm deathly afraid of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I say, how is that working for you? Right? Like, because I think some people don't realize the shit that they're in, right? They like it. And I'm like, how is that working for you? Like, right. I want to change. Well, what are you willing to do? Right. Another thing that our therapist said is that, because I wasn't afraid to deal with conflict, right? So our therapist said that the way that I view communication was I've always viewed it as an asset, right? I wasn't scared to like step into the mess and to try to deal with it. Whereas Kirk was adopted and then he was abandoned and he was neglected after he was adopted. And so communication was always a threat. And when our therapist said that, Kirk was actually, he didn't intentionally kind of turn the cold shoulder, but he always viewed communication as a threat.
Interesting.
So what seemed like cold shoulder body communication was a deep fear of rejection, because every time he communicated when he was a kid, it was like, well, you don't matter. What you say and think doesn't matter. And he moved around a lot as well. And so we've been working so hard this year and a half of like really trying to make communication and trust and safety a priority. And again, like, no marriage is perfect, but you have to work towards it. I think
a perfect marriage, it does exist, but it's not what we think it is. I think a perfect marriage is a marriage where you can feel safe having honest conversations, talking about desires, talking about goals and other things, and figuring out, well, you've got these goals, I've got my goals. Where do they align and how can we work on those things together? I feel like that is a marriage that is vulnerable and honest with each other is a near perfect marriage, right? Because then you're working on problems together.
Yeah.
And where people shell up and they have a hard time communicating, it's really interesting to think like some people think communication is an attack on them. And I get that. I've been in those immature states as well. We don't have much time, but what's crazy is this. So think about all the time I spent in my 20s and all the things working and investing my time everywhere else, that now at the age of 39, I'm trying to convince myself mindset wise that I deserve success. I could have been doing this in my 20s. I could have been solving these problems in my 20s. And now the KPIs that are showing up, it's like, man, you're solving problems in your mind today that you should have or could have solved 10 years ago. But instead you were working on other problems. And so life is nothing but that. It's a series of solving problem after problem after problem, which is great. And it's fun if you can turn it into like a video game kind of mindset. But I'm 39 trying to convince myself that I actually deserve the success that I have in order for me to get to the next level. I'm like, I'm having conversations with people you guys wouldn't believe. And in these conversations, I'm writing down notes. Do I deserve to be here? Do I deserve these compliments? And I'm like, I'm going through that kind of stuff, which I know what the answer is. I know what the answer is, but in practice, it's different. I'm spending my time questioning whether I deserve something rather than doing the things that I should be doing to deserve it. It is scary to think like how your mind plays these games on you, and it's just an equation. So what problems are we solving today that we should have solved 10 years ago? And what problems should I be solving today that I don't want to solve in 10 years from now? Mindset wise, like specifically mindset wise, right? Carlin says, your brain is not your friend. It can be. It absolutely can be if it's harnessed properly. And I think Elena has changed thousands of people's mindsets here in the last 6 months or so. So for me, it's a big fear of success, right? Also, I don't know how much you deal with this, Elena, but people that are like, I'm going to be like my parents when I grow up. I'm going to be like that fear. Right? That fear drives me so hard. I want to have nothing to do with that. In fact, there's a direct correlation with my success. Here's my success, and here's how much time I spend with my family. Literally, the less time I spend with my family and people from my past, the more success I have. It's the weirdest thing. And so that's a hard thing. I think a lot of people struggle with that too. Is like, so you're telling me I have to avoid and get rid of my family? No, it means you just need to be involved with them at appropriate levels. Are you going over and just hanging out at mom and dad's house all day Sunday and watching the game? That's definitely not something I'm ever going to do. I go over to my parents' house for an hour. We'll have a meal. I love you guys. Thank you. I'm out. Because you absorb people's energy, you absorb their behaviors, you absorb all these things. And so I stay away from them as much as I possibly can, as much as it pains me to say that. Okay. Like Wendy says, my family is nothing but negativity. I don't want that in my life. And it's a scary thing to admit that. And people outside of this that are not trying to work on their mindset is like, oh, they'll DM me like, oh, you hate your family. It's like, no, I don't. I love my family, but I love myself. And I love my immediate family, the one that my kids that are responsible for me. So you guys heard the thing that Ed Milet said, right? About, he's like, the thing that drives Ed Milet is that one day he dies and he goes to heaven and he meets the best version of himself. Right. And he's like, if I died right now, and what if I compare the two, my physical attributes, my mindset attributes, the way I impacted people's lives, how many people showed up. Like for me, a big bearing of success is how many people are going to show up to my funeral and look at me and go, you changed my life. And is that pride? Is that, yeah, probably a little bit. I'm okay with that. As long as I harness my pride properly to impact other people's life, I want to feel the impact I have on other people's lives. So for me, the bearing of success is right now, if I died, what would my funeral look like? Would I have 1,000 people at my funeral? Would I have 20 people at my funeral? And so for me, it's like collecting people that I've impacted and changed their life. And then on top of it, watching Elena or Tanisha or Carolyn or Kevin Cho or whoever it is go out and impact 10 times more people's lives. Like it's crazy to see what we all have the ability to do. It's just that the environment never really existed for us growing up. Right. And it's like, do you have a safe space? I think you have a safe space. I'm curious, we've got a couple minutes in here. I'm curious, what does everybody feel like they are currently struggling with right now? In your journey, what do you guys think you're struggling with? Right? Do you have a fear of failure? Do you have a fear of embarrassment, fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of success, self-sabotage, John Kim? Okay, so this is another thing, Elena, from my parents, like watching my dad. Okay, so why did I move 26 times? I moved 26 times because my father would go partner with his identical twin. It was like another visionary and another visionary. And then after a year, they want to kill each other. And so then my dad sells the business, gets rid of the business and goes, all right, we're moving. We moved to another state. I lived that way for 19 years, watching my dad self-sabotage his business. It's so obvious for him and he knows the answer. But what he does is he keeps doing the same thing. In fact, he's currently in a business relationship with a guy that he broke up with 6 years ago. So it's a constant recycling moment. And I want to go in and go, Dad, Dad. I was able to break free of that. And I'm grateful for my father for breaking free of the chains of mindset he had to break free of my grandfather, and so on and so on and so on. I'm grateful. And I've improved. Now, I made so much money in my 20s that my dad would come to me and borrow money from me for his business. None of it's ever been paid back, right? None of it's ever been paid back. And when I was 34, so 5 years ago, my dad came to me and borrowed more money from me. And I said, Dad, this is the last time. And I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. I will forgive all the money, because I would even bring that up to him. Like, well, Dad, you already owe me $380,000. Like, you need another 10 grand, you know? And I then go, I'll make a deal with you. I will forgive all the debt, all the money I've loaned to you, as long as this is the last time you come and ask me for money. I'm going to gift this money to you. It's not a loan. Mm-hmm. And I gave it to my dad. He never came in 5 years. My dad has never asked me for money. So I learned I have to draw lines in my life, and I have to protect myself, because people will take advantage of you. Your own freaking parents will take advantage of you if you let them. And it does. If you guys met my dad, you'd be like, I love this guy. He's amazing. But where he's amazing is I've learned a tremendous amount of things from him, but I've also learned what I don't want in my life. I don't want to self-sabotage at all. And so now what's fun is the difference is I'm looking for the things that I'm doing in my life that I'm self-sabotaging and I'm causing issues. And I either hire it out or I get rid of it or whatever. And I very strongly go, I am not okay with this. I'm not okay with this. And I'm putting my foot down. So it's an interesting world we're living in. And I can tell you, the more I get rid of the bullshit mindset that I have, the more success I find. The more motivated I am, the more happy I am, the more I want to help other people. And so there are mindset. Read The Mountain Is You is a great self-sabotage book. That's really good. Peggy Stevens says, fear of not being able to take care of myself financially. I sabotage myself. I struggle to make God proud of me. That's an interesting comment.
I have one more question, Pace. Yeah. So you had mentioned, this is kind of, it's to answer the last question that I had, and you had mentioned a little bit, is your struggle, you're kind of like that one last, I feel like, struggle for you is your fear of success. Like, what are you actively doing to try to uproot that last weed, if you will, right? Like, I feel like it's, because if, you know, weeds, right? If you don't actually uproot from the foundation of it, right? The roots, it's going to just grow back up. Right. And you're like, and then you're chopping the surface, but it's like, what are you actively doing to like uproot that?
I don't have a good answer for that right now. I'm aware of it. I've been aware of it for probably 6 or 8 months. Part of it is I haven't solved it. So that's why I don't have a problem for it. Right. But so I'll tell you what I'm doing intentionally is every time I'm around other people that have their varying levels of success, right? I ask them the same thing. Like, what are you dealing with? Where are you trying to improve? Because really, what do we all need more than anything else is we need a clear lit path and somebody telling us to walk down that path, right? And so what's great for me is that I'm standing there knowing I'm on a path. I know I need to change this fear of success mindset that I have. The problem is I don't have people in front of me that are shining their light on that path. And so, like, that's the funny thing about our parents. They're like, go get married. Okay, great. Well, can you light the path for me, please? Can you tell me how to love your wife and cherish every moment you're with her? Yeah. No, I'm not going to do that. Just go walk down the path. Right. So really what we're trying to do as a community is like, let me light the path on how to go do this kind of real estate transaction or build this type of business or do this. Let me light the path for you so that you can walk down it. We as human beings really need somebody else to do it. So I've gone out and my main objective is collaborating with people that have things in their life that I need so that they can shine their light on my path. And then it's my responsibility to walk down that path. And so right now I'm at that point in the path where I'm recognizing the characteristics or the defects of myself. And I'm also trying to wonder like where it comes from And then I'll also ask these people, did you ever have a fear of success? And they all, oh yeah. I had, oh my gosh, the first time I had a this and the first time I had a that. Okay, well, what's your advice? Never question yourself. Like you have a vision, go follow. Like having conversations with people that have the flashlight. You know what I'm saying? Is like, do you want to ask advice of somebody who's been down the path, or do you want to ask somebody that's standing where you're at? And so I'm trying to find people that have the answer. And also, what does success mean for me? I was walking down my hallway yesterday in my house. You know, that long hallway between my kitchen and the stairs up to my primary bedroom. I was walking down there and I had a moment because I've achieved a lot of what I've wanted, right? And I'm redoing my goals frequently. And I actually had a moment where I was like, at what point is enough enough? Because if you get $500 million, was that the objective, was to get $500 million, or what is actually the objective? It's a constant question that pops up for me. Successful people, think about it. At what point am I done working? Because to me, retirement doesn't mean I'm quitting working. Retirement means I'm retiring from having to be told what to do on a daily basis. I can now create my day. It's the retirement of somebody else, and it's true freedom to go and work on the things that I want to work on. Humans are not meant to just chill. You know, we're meant to go work and put in the work, but being able to be retired from somebody else telling me what to do is my objective. Okay, great. Well, I've accomplished that at a very high degree. I have money and cash flow that I'll never have to really worry about. My family or my children's will never have to worry about it because of the cash flowing assets I hold. Also the businesses that I own and all of those types of things. I'll never have to worry about that. So what really is the objective? And so having conversations with very high level people and saying, you're worth 10 times more than me, 20 times, 100 times more than me. What is it that motivates you? And the question I get is, well, what got you here? And I go, caring about other people. He goes, then why should that change? I go, okay. So he goes, Pace, like if that's what got you where you are, then why are you changing it? Just double down, figure out how to be more efficient, figure out how to utilize better language patterns, figure out how to use better stories. And if you're loving what you're doing and you want to continually elevate, then elevate yourself and your ability to do the thing that you love doing more efficiently. I'm like, is that simple? Is it that simple? He goes, yes, but you have to do the work. Right. So like I just spent $24,000 on a speech coach to spend 4 hours a month with me for a year. So it's basically $500 an hour to help me articulate better and tell stories better and convey a message in from 1 minute down to 30 seconds or 30 seconds down to 15 seconds. And those types of things are important to me. And so it's like, I just want to impact at a more efficient level. And the money has always come to me. Same thing with you, Elena. Buying 6 properties is a lot of work. I don't know if you're talking about it, but it's a lot of work. And behind the scenes of like the problems and the issues you run into, that's part of real estate. And after 3, 4, 5 months, when those properties are stabilized, now you've hit a plateau and you go, okay, I got to go do that again.
Yeah.
I got to go do that again. And then you wake up after 24 months and you go, holy crap, I'm making $35,000 a month in cash flow. Now what? Well, why should it change? You should be so efficient at that thing that instead of it taking you 20 hours a week, it takes you 2, so that you have time to not get rid of that thing.
Yeah.
But then to add something else to it, another business and another business. And then your job is just getting those all super efficient so that you can impact and hire more people and do all that kind of stuff. And so I think that's really the main goal is I'll tell you the biggest goal I have right now. The biggest goal I have right now is to highlight my wife in a way that she won't highlight herself. And noticing that she's got things that hold her back. So it's like as a husband, grabbing her and going, I'm not asking for permission. I'm going to highlight you and I'm going to show the things that you do. And so this year, my goal is to highlight her at a level that I'm not even highlighting myself. And so, what are you guys doing for your partners, your married love, your loved ones, right? Is it about you or is it about the other person? So again, this is not what my parents did. And so that's not a learned behavior from a positive standpoint. It's a learned behavior from negativity of like, I don't want that. Okay, great. Then do the freaking opposite and actually walk down the path and stop talking about it. Because there's a lot of people in here that will say, this was impactful. In fact, I want to go spend time with my wife right now after having this conversation. Carolyn probably wants to spend time with her husband, but he's at a Nashville multifamily thing. So good luck with that. Okay. But first and foremost, it's not just about marriage advice. This is about anything. So like take a moment. I can be a couple minutes late to my own Zoom. I'm curious. Think about this. Think about this for a moment. Married, non-married, whatever. Let's all put something into practice real quick. Okay. Pick up your phones. Okay. Pick up your phones. And who's the first person you guys think of? Make a comment in the side chat. Who's the first person you guys think of? Your husband, your wife? Who's the first person you think of? Okay. Love it. Okay. Love it. This is great. This is really great. So let's craft some messages. Okay. I'm going to craft a message to my mom. Sometimes it could be as simple as, if you're not eloquent, it could be as simple as I love you. I'm going to say, I love you. I cherish you. You're important. You're beautiful. You're my mama. And honestly, something that simple, I do this all the time, almost every morning, right? During my meditation, I take the time to like be grateful for other people. I've done nothing in my life by myself. Nothing in my life. Nothing in my life has been done by myself. Okay. Carolyn says, I'm in love with you. That's really great. I like that a lot. And it starts with you. That's the thing too, is like, you realize a lot of people in here, oh my gosh, how many times have we all laid in bed or sat in a chair in our house and like we feel the energy of the other human being walking around us and we're like waiting for them to make a change? Have you ever done that? Anybody? You guys ever done that before?
Sure.
So this is Bobby, Bobby Two Hands, our videographer. He sends me a text message and he's like, I've never felt more important in my life than when I'm around you.
Yeah.
So do people feel important when they're around you? Do people feel like you see them? Same thing. And it's the same thing. I just look for the best out of people, right?
Yeah.
So tell me some of the messages. I want to see some of the messages you guys made. Tell me, because everybody should have sent that, right?
No.
Jen, oh, that's great. Jen just said, I called my mom to say I love you. That's great. Wow. I just sent my 11-year-old this. Just want to let you know I admire your sweet soul, and I see you helping every day. Thank you. You know what's great about Asher, my little 14-year-old, is he helps so much because we remind him of how grateful we are that he helps. And it's like this emotional, like, confirmation all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, these are great messages. Te amo y te extraño. I love you and I miss you in Spanish. My Aunt Jackie, Carolina says, my Aunt Jackie, mom number 2. Oh, that's great. A lot of people forget that you guys have a lot of mom number 2s. I love you, Tia. You're amazing. So beautiful inside and out. And I'm so blessed to have you in my life. Hey, babe. Oh, this one's good. Hey, babe, I just want to say how proud of you I am and how much you have grown. I love you so much. You know, a lot of, here's last thing I'll say about this is think about when you say you're proud of people, that's really amazing, right? It's great. But here's what I would do is elevate that one level higher.
Yeah. Yeah. Why?
Right. Why is really, really good. There's another level even above that. And the level is you make me want to do X, Y, and Z. I'm so proud of you because of this, that, and the other. You make me want to be better, right? Greatest movie, one of the greatest movies of all time with Jack Nicholson. As Good as It Gets. What's the greatest line in that movie? He says, anybody have it? Yeah, Jared, you got it. You make me want to be a better man. It's such a great movie. So Think about that, right? Think about like, hey, this is what you inspire me to do. This is what you make me want to do. You are so impactful in my life that it makes me X, Y, and Z,
So
right?
good.
Because people want to feel the impact they're having as well. We all feel great when we have impact in other people's lives. Like, you're important, not because I think you're important. You're important because you've done this and this and this, right? Giselle says, I miss my mom so bad. Okay, final last thing, okay? This truly is my final last thing. I told this to a lot of people in a couple of Zooms a little while ago. And that was, you've already won, right? Think about my brother, Corbin, right? He fell victim to whatever he fell victim to. My brother's not even around to enjoy the sunlight today. My brother's not around to see my little daughter jumping in the pool today, because I know I'm going to leave here today. I'm going to go jump in the pool with my little girl. My brother's not around to come to family barbecues. My brother's not around. He's not in prison. He's gone. So you've already won. Everybody's already won here. And then so many times you guys are like, I'm failing. Guys, you've already won. Every single day beyond today is another triumph, another legendary pursuit of your journey. You've all won. And you guys ever lost anybody in here? You guys lost loved ones or any of that stuff? You've already won. So what are you doing with that time that you've won? And so for me, like looking at my brother, right? Remember, I told people it's no longer a choice of mine. It's my responsibility. So I'm on this planet Earth. What am I doing with it? Now, in the Mormon faith, we believe it's kind of, we're weirdos. Mormons are weirdos. We believe that from heaven, you can actually watch other people, right? So I look at it from a standpoint of like my brother watching me on a daily basis. Forget about God. Am I making my brother proud of me? Is my brother saying, I'm glad it was him and not me because of the impact he's making and he's living up to his potential? Right? So anyway, Elena Tang, everybody, this beautiful, amazing woman.
Pace, Jordan, Morby. Oh my God. Changing generations, Pace.
We are together. Generations. We are together. I can't do any of this stuff without you guys. And you guys make impact. Here's the thing I really like is that I like watching you guys help other people that I wasn't able to reach. Like the way I talk, the jokes I make, my upbringing. I can only go so far with certain people. Right? There's people in this mentorship that have actually been more impacted by Elena than I have impacted them. Isn't that interesting to think? And I'm sure there's somebody that will admit that right now. And this, like, actually, Elena's changed my life more than Pace has. So I can't do this without you. And this is again why I go back to, I know we do, but I have to say it. I feel like we don't deserve you. What are we talking about next Saturday?
Someone's lined up to.
Ooh.
Oh, actually, Creighton is going to be leading solo because LT will be visiting and she'll be a guest at my house.
Amazing. That's great.
LT.
By the way, Creighton is one of our first 50 students in sub 2. He's amazing with mindset. If anybody has not seen that. Guys, have you guys all said thank you to Elena lately? Because think about this. You guys don't quite know how much time and energy goes into coordinating, turning things down, making sure the kids are watched or whatever, doing all the things in order to just do a 2-hour Zoom on a weekly basis. It's not like she just shows up. Think about how much crap she had to go through to choose the line of work she chose, the profession, for her to put thousands and thousands and thousands of hours into that just so that she could come in here and do a mindset Zoom for you. It wasn't just an hour of work. It wasn't just whatever. It was literally her life's work up until this point has been here so she could condense it into a 2-hour session or an hour and a half session for you and for me. And what's great about you, Elena, is that you have rose the elevation of our mentorship since you came in here. We needed you. We appreciate you.
It's the greatest privilege. Thank you, Pace.
Of course. Now go do your 7th deal, but please assign it to me for your 7th deal.
Let's do a deal together.
We should do a deal together. Guys, I love you. I got the social media Zoom that I'm jumping into right now. Elena, I love you. I appreciate you.
Love you too. See you there.
See you guys.
Bye.